Welcome to the Cup of Joe Show, the podcast where Senator Joseph Cryan talks about the latest in New Jersey's 20th Legislative District. This week's guest, Union TV station manager Sal Terezza.
Welcome, everybody, to another Cup of Joe, episode 11. And I am terribly excited to join Sal Terezza.
How you doing, Joe?
Sal, proper title?
Station manager.
Sal is the station manager for Union TV 34 and a variety of other media opportunities here in the township.
Yes.
That I hope we get to in the discussion today. But let folks learn about how many different ways they can learn about what's happening in their community through the media. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that conversation. But it's so important today, Sal, and maybe when we talk a little bit about what you do. But for our conversation today, I think what we want folks to understand is not only a little bit about what's available to them in the new media studio that we're fortunate enough to be here today, but what the role of public access is, the media, and you as the station manager, what you do to, for lack of a better way to put it, to actually give the public the information they deserve.
Yeah, so public access obviously was originally cable TV, it started there. Now it's morphed into online streaming and social media as their main outputs with cable TV. It started out as just government meetings, zoning board, planning board, township committee meetings. And then about 20 some odd years ago, we started doing a weekly news show. We started covering all the events, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and really created like a home-based kind of place where everybody can get all their information about the town here in Union, right from that one channel. I was on cable, and then in 2011, we started doing the streaming stuff too.
Okay, and before we talk about the streaming, so in the day, so to speak, I recall the times, and I think there are still communities today that don't televise their local government meetings live.
Nope,
right?
I still get phone calls from people, how do I do this?
Okay, and like for somebody on the road a little bit, like Facebook Live, it's on and others, and we can talk about that. But in the day, Union was really kind of a groundbreaking community in the idea that I understand it, that the Board of Adjustment, as well as, for example, the Planning Board, were also part of that live TV. Has that worked out? Has that experiment where we haven't penalized the public or intimidated them from participating in terms of actual board meetings, but has it worked out in your opinion?
Actually, I got a funny story about a zoning board case a few weeks ago where the person who was going front, sometimes the resident just does it themselves without a lawyer for something small, and he actually said he went and watched a few of the meetings to see how it flowed.
Oh,
and then it made it a lot easier what he had to say to them to get. It was like, I think it was like a 7-foot setback or something simple that they had to do. So the guy said, "Yeah, I went back. I watched a few of the meetings just to see how it worked." And so the residents do use it as a reference for certain.
How
things.
great is that?
Yeah,
what a great story that is. So, talk to me a little bit because the beginning didn't matter. But so the town committee, you've been here how many years?
2004.
All right, so north of 20.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and in your day, what did the town committee see as the role of TV 34 and media, and how has that evolved a little bit towards today, as we touched on?
They, our former administrator Frank Bradley, wanted to get the meetings out there, wanted to highlight businesses during the meetings, and just wanted better quality. At the time, it was like one camera, audio was horrible. And that was the first thing of it. And then when I came in, I said, yes, the meetings are great, but sometimes they'll go an hour, they'll go 2 hours. We got to create another format. And that's when we started the Spotlight on Union show, where we can make more structured little packages highlighting stuff going on in town, and gives us that extra envelope, which ended up working out for us when we went streaming, because we have these little packages that we were used to cutting every week that were easy to pump out on social media early.
Okay, so for not everybody in who's enlightened in this part of the project, although the folks listening to this certainly would be, when you talk about streaming, for example, today I know you're talking about a YouTube channel and some other things, but can you kind of define? So in 2004, you joined the media expansion, so to speak, access to public and different things happened. And in 2011, streaming came in.
Yeah.
Now, for the average user, what would streaming be?
Streaming would be, at first, was just going on Facebook Live, which was the first thing we ever did. And then a year later, YouTube started doing more than 15 minutes of streaming. Then we went on YouTube Live. So we go on Facebook and YouTube. And then after that, a few years later, we went to full 24/7 streaming, which means the channel is actually streamed. You actually can watch it on your phone today. The channel's actually streamed 24/7. So there's a variety of ways to get us now.
So I want to follow up with that in a little bit as we talk about this new studio, about how folks can actually watch us on their phone. Like, for example, somebody like me, if I'm on the road and I want to watch a town committee meeting, I just click on Facebook Live. It's easy.
Very easy. It'll you can set it, you get a notification.
Okay. So what was the original studio like? The original setup, that was all done in Town Hall, correct?
Frank Bradley came to me when the job was thing. He goes, here, make a studio. It was literally the emergency management office. It was an office. Didn't have a lighting grid, no soundproofing. We had to stop. In the beginning, we had to stop when the fire truck went by because you heard the fire truck. And then we slowly got a lighting grid, sort of, and then a good donation from a company back in the day. We were able to get some real good lighting in there and make it a little bit better. And then robotic cameras, a little more better soundproofing. And we made it work. It's just that it was small. It was 5 by 12. It was small.
Okay.
Not much you can do.
Want to hold off a little bit on this facility that we're in, the brand new media facility as part of the Arts Center and the Union Library here. But talk a little bit more about that. Like, how we mentioned them a couple times just so far, the different programming that was done. How was that decided? How were things done in those days in terms of, and then more importantly, at least for the folks hearing our voice, how did we learn what the community wanted at that time?
Well, when we started Spotlight in Union, that got popular very quickly. Also, the first host was very good at what she did. Jamie was our first host. She was very good on camera.
Oh, yeah, Jamie.
Yeah. So that got popular quick. We also had a few mayors who were very comfortable in front of the camera. We were lucky. We had mayors who were comfortable with the camera, and they liked doing interviews. So the Our Town show kicked off right away, where the mayor would do a one-on-one with the police chief, the fire chief, the administration. And it was kind of like, back in the day, that version of a podcast with the mayor. And we got lucky. A lot of our mayors were very good on camera. So that kicked that off. And then we started doing the businesses because we noticed there was a good way to help. We had this platform, let's help promote the businesses. And we started doing that weekly business show where we would highlight a business in town. We still do that today in a different format with Talking With You or the cooking show. So it's still out there.
Sure. So it continues to work to highlight the community.
Yeah, you kind of it continues to constantly it's transparency, getting the information out there, what's going on in your local government. It's covering all the community events, telling people what's out there, telling people what's coming, and just trying to help businesses in town as much as possible too is one of our big goals.
Absolutely. Important goals for any community. Right? So how's the audience changed, besides the fact that we're all a little bit older than we were in 2004?
We joke, anybody over the age of 50 watches us on cable. Anybody under the age of 50 watches us on their phones. So you kind of like, people joke about how kind of music I put on the channel. I says, because that music is kind of for that generation, the older generation. So it gets a little more jazz on there, a little more. But yeah, that's...
You do know who you're talking to, right?
Yeah,
okay.
well, I'm over 52. So.
Okay. No, go ahead. So you choose things like music and content to appeal.
And content, knowing, like, for example, we run those. We have the public domain license where it allows us to run TV shows. I run old TV shows 12 o'clock every day purposely because that audience I know is skews towards the higher age groups. And that's just a way to, like, hey, I can go watch that. Right now we're running the Dragnet series. That'll go for like another month. And then we'll flip to another series. So having that license is helpful too. And it doesn't cost us anything. You just have to go through the paperwork. So.
Oh, how wonderful. So maturity, the audience, and the day, has streaming expanded that audience?
Yes. When we started doing the high school sports exclusively on YouTube, that was when we first started, just streaming them to YouTube. I noticed the ages on the YouTube analytics start going lower and lower and lower. Now I have like over 500-600 high school age kids that are subscribed to us. The simple fact is because now we air a lot of sports, and we're doing it the right way now. We're sitting down with the athletic director beginning of the year and saying, okay, what team should we highlight? And I also like to pick games that are neighboring towns, so it helps boost the audience there too. So it helps. We sit down, we actually strategize, and I say, no, we're just going to do that game. We kind of strategize what games would work great for us.
So you actually have a strategic plan and those sort of things.
For example, men's volleyball, I was told to do the men's volleyball against Elizabeth. We had 1,000 people on the stream at the one time.
Really?
And it was a great game. It went to 3 sets. So
For volleyball.
yeah, and it just so happened one of my students at Kane is a volleyball that he actually announced it. It was almost like a professional. It was great.
Okay, but you can't let that go. You said one of my students at Kane.
Yes.
And we didn't really do a full intro other than the fact you've been here and transformative. What's this my student at Kane thing?
About 3 years ago, I was recruited by Kane to start teaching some of their classes as an adjunct. Just like they were looking for hands-on people that were been in the industry forever, just to, this is how it is in the real world kind of thing. So I teach a studio class and I teach a digital video class.
And how are the students?
Good. In fact, a few of them will intern here. One now works at the high school as a teacher. So they're out there. They do good, and it's good that it's a good feeding thing for interns. Like they usually, my former students become our interns. So
they're kind of stuck with you.
they kind of stuck with me. Yeah.
That's great. All right, so let's set up where we are. So we've talked a little bit about the history of TV 34, how it got set up, right?
Yes.
And all the things that go with that. But as we are chatting here today, we are located, and you can set it up better than I can. Tell us where we're located. Tell us about the technology that we're here.
We are in the lower level of the new Union Public Library, which is the Union Center Art Center, as we call it down here on the first floor. We are literally, when you walk in the second door, you see a big new sign that says Union TV. And here is the podcasting side of it. Right on the other side of these cameras is the full setup of a studio set where you'll be doing her show. You'll be seeing a talk show with the architect this week. We're taping the architect who actually designed this building. E's sitting down with him this week.
Oh, really?
To just kind of give the what went into everything. So you'll be seeing E's new set the first time this week too. 3 cameras, all 4K robotics, real lighting. You can see we can change colors now, and we never had that kind of capability. And real soundproofing. See how it's dead in this room. I mean, you can't hear anything.
Right.
In fact, when we were setting this room up, we kind of got lost. Me and he got lost to the track of time because you don't hear anything. You kind of like, oh my God, it's 5 o'clock already. So,
Okay.
and then in here is the control room with an editing room where we can do all our editings, and they run the show from in there. So it's a nice piece.
So how did you mentioned the architect, who I believe his name is Mr. Potter.
Yes.
Right. And how did you folks decide what technology the investments were going to make? I mean, it sounds just incredible, but for the average person, right? Are all of these enhancements designed to bring a better?
Well, it's better quality picture because they're 4K cameras, and we also built in some expansion into it down the road. So we can expand, like for example, because we have the theater next door, the next room over, I could operate the whole theater camera system from this control room. And then I can also control these cameras from that control room if I had to. For opening night, it's going to be crowded in there. We'll just run everything out of this place, out of the show, and in here, slot. So there's a lot of cross-tableability in there. Or as we call it, that could be a TV studio too next door. That could be Studio A, B. If you want to do a real big production, you have that in space.
So without taking too much from tomorrow's conversation, I mean, it's a big week coming up here in the Township of Union, right? On Friday night, there is
the opening of the theater, and I guess they're doing a little ribbon cutting for this place too, yeah. The
right?
studio,
And
yeah.
then Saturday,
is the opening of the library.
right? And there's events all weekend long.
I'll be living here. I might as well just put a cot in the studio at this point.
Did you think of that when you were doing the automation?
Thought about it for a second.
But it's a huge weekend here, and a chance for residents to come in and see what their investment is all about here.
Yes.
Which, by the way, this studio we're using, which is a podcast studio, is in fact, if the public wanted to, they could reserve some time on this, correct?
Yes, they got this one here they can reserve time with, and also the library has a smaller one upstairs too that kids could pre-record some stuff too.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
opportunities in this building now, technology-wise. So if you're an individual who's either affected by the digital divide or just wants to see, for lack of a better way to put it, the latest and greatest, come on by here,
Yes.
right? So let's talk about that a little bit more. So now we have this upgraded studio, right? And it is absolutely beautiful.
Thanks.
And you guys have designed it. You're ready to go. So what are you thinking about for the future here? What kind of things are you thinking about?
Well, the first part is it's great to have, you can interview somebody and not only because next door you can only have 2 people at a time. You put 3 on that set, forget it. Here I could put up to 5, 6 people on here if I want to. That's why we have the extended couch, the extended, like right now they don't see it, but the set's only half open. We can extend the arms out more and put more people on set. So the ability to have more people on set is a big deal. The flexibility of taking everything out, and if we wanted to just make a custom for a certain thing, we can now, where we didn't have that capability in the past. We kind of were locked into whatever's on the wall. We do have a green screen in here too, so we can still do some virtual stuff. So that's actually right above us. So this comes down and this becomes the green screen here. So.
Exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that in terms of the context of what we just talked about for this week. Now, there's a big show on Friday.
Yes.
All right, where, as I understand it, folks are coming back.
Yes, 17 alumni are coming back to do this performance.
And what are they? Talk a little bit more about it.
So Yvonne Lorenzo is coming back with 17 of her former students to do an alumni show. Obviously, the theater's named after the DMK, Douglas Michael Kruger, and it's a lot of his former classmates are coming back to do this kind of like revival of some of the songs they did in high school. And I've seen the rehearsals, and it's pretty damn good.
Well, we get to show off more of our talent here
Yes,
in Union.
Exactly.
So, but that facility, it's got a lot of flexibility. It's my understanding that the Board of Education may, in fact,
Yes,
utilize
the
it.
Board of Ed is now a permanent resident here, starting with their meetings this month. They'll be doing all their meetings. They'll be all doing the public meeting here now. Their technology over there was getting dated and just wasn't worth the money when you have this theater. It was worth it to come here and do it here.
Well, plus you have, I would argue, easier parking.
Easier, a lot easier parking, yeah.
Right, a lot easier parking. And the clarity of what folks will see is...
You'll be able to hear them, see them. There's a lot better AV here, so.
Well, it's an exciting time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk. So when you move into something new and you do all that, you do tend to take a moment and kind of reflect a little bit about your memories, whether you're moving from the old house to the new house or here to the from the old studio to the new. So what are some of the projects that kind of jump out at you after 20 years that you look at and say that one was really special?
Well, actually, I talked about this was the bicentennial. That was a fun year for me because we did a lot of what we call little vignette, little small interviews with a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and believe it or not, like the historical society over these years have used those because some of those people have passed away. The historical society has used a lot of those vignettes over the years to show people who people were and talking to us. So that was a fun year for me because it was a lot of creativity of doing all these little small vignettes. We were pumping them out every week. As I say, rest of his soul, Tony Brennan came in and helped me did all those interviews. So
Tony enjoyed his TV 34.
Tony enjoyed his TV 34, yes. February 1st, he would call me about the parade every year. Yep.
Yeah, Tony was on top of it. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there's clearly a whole lot of excitement about this new space. What does it mean to you?
It's humbling to finally have something that will live past me. When I move on or retire, the next person already is pretty well set. It's a turnkey operation now for them, and we'll have a few years in here and work out all the bugs.
I can't help but think in 2004 there was no Facebook really.
Nope.
And there was no iPhone. 2007, I believe, was the first iPhone. And now we're on iPhone 14,
16.
15, 16. And so things change.
Yeah.
Is really how you think of it.
We started on DVD. Now we have this video server that runs this channel 24 hours a day that I can operate from my phone. Yeah. And we've always been ahead of the technology a little bit. As I say, when COVID happened, we didn't get caught off guard. No. We were able to pivot very quickly because we had certain technology already in place. We were able to stream our meetings. So we were streaming them for 3 years, 4 years. So we were able to, okay.
So you didn't have to shuffle or
No, didn't have to shuffle much.
So in that context and knowing that the things change, right? It's funny, I had a couple kids ask me, what was the technology when you were in high school for listening to music, which was 8 tracks. And they looked at me like I was speaking Martian or something when I tried to explain what an 8 track was.
I had an intern that didn't know what a VCR looked like this year, so.
Yeah, they can leave. Yeah. But kidding aside, what do you see in the years to come? Like, what do you see in terms of?
Well, technology is coming down cheaper. A lot of interconnectability. It's the new technology we call NDI, which is everything through the computer networks. So you could set up a camera, somebody in Europe, and actually have an interview with them with pure high definition quality, and it costs you practically nothing now.
Really?
Yes, the technology's gotten a lot better. if you see some of our sports, we have this thing called the yo-yo box, which is this little iPad, and we actually can do instant replay on it. So we have 4 sources in there. We actually do it, and it's all off a Wi-Fi or a phone signal. We can stream it from anywhere from. That was a great little toy to get, and it's really helped out with the high school programs. And we stream the parade that way now too. So
You must be pretty proud of how the station has come full force.
yep.
So I don't want to lose sight of one other thing. You're out there in the community, right? Edis and some of the others,
Yes.
folks that the personalities that folks would know. They don't really get a chance to see you. How do you decide like what cultural events to cover? Is there a thing to that? I didn't want to lose sight of that point before.
If they ask, we cover it. We don't. We very rarely say no. It's good that we have me, E, and then we have one part-timer, but we also have a good core of freelancers that we can use. So we pretty much can cover any event we need to cover. So.
I was thinking I watched more than a few Salem Roadhouses on here.
Salem Roadhouse is my little baby.
Yeah.
First of all, the people over there are great. And it works in that 11 o'clock time slot, and it's good music. You don't have to worry about it. And it's relatively, I've shot that by myself a few times.
Really?
Yeah. It's a good little program. And it is our little baby, my little baby. I like that show.
So exciting times ahead.
Yes.
And exciting times really have started now, but this week in particular will kind of be the launch. Sal, I want to take a moment and thank you. There's the behind-the-scenes guide. This guy gets it. But more important for what you've done for folks in this community and beyond in terms of they can relate to their government. Your story about the guy who went back and looked at the Board of Adjustment. Right? That's through you as station manager here and being able to get things in a perspective and in a quality that folks can use it is actually, it's quite a feat.
Yeah.
Good for you. You've made a real difference in the impact in the lives of the folks.
It's a good team here too. Natalie was with me at first, and now Edith. So yeah, it was a good team.
That Edith seems like she knows what she's doing.
Yeah. She designed the set. I don't take any credit for the set.
That's why it looks nice.
Yeah, she designed the set. Everybody said, talk to Edith. She was the set designer. So.
Yeah, it does have a feel to it of welcoming.
Yeah, it does. The light colors. It took a little while for me to get to the light colors, but yeah. So.
Well, I'm glad you got there because it looks gorgeous.
Yes.
So with that great team that you have and yourself, what do you think makes TV 34 so important for the Township of Union community?
In this day and age of not being tied to community because of social media and stuff, something that everybody can relate to is as like kind of like a central like a center where people could know what's going on in their communities. Kind of like that, towns that really don't have newspapers anymore, don't have online papers, which is kind of doing the same thing too. So it's kind of like, you have the online newspapers for getting the community stuff. We also have us on TV doing the stuff too, which helps make some kind of community. So,
yeah, you're right. TV 34 creates a community.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you. And remind folks, as part of that community, this is their studio.
Yes.
Taxpayer studio. And
yes.
By all means, if there's an opportunity, they should stop in and see yourself.
Stop in, take it. We're right here on the first floor now, so.
It's exciting. Look, I hope you get a chance. This is our first video of our podcast. It's exciting to be here, and the difference really is it's amazing. And I really want to thank folks for listening. I want to thank folks for watching if they happen to see us. But most importantly, participating, whether it's here in this discussion with you, Sal, or as we move forward in trying to engage the community and understand what folks wants, needs, and want to see out of both their government from a policy standpoint and their government from what they can do on a vision standpoint and an interaction. Sal, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Thank you all for joining us for the 11th Cup of Joe, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
That's a wrap on this episode of A Cup of Joe, hosted by Senator Joseph Cryan. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you again for another cup.